What if your downfall didn't come from a disaster, but from a small, innocent decision you thought meant nothing? Why did a dying monk use his last breath to whisper a cryptic warning? Never allow a cat into your life. Could the path away from truth and purpose begin not with a fall, but with a purr? In a remote monastery nestled in the silent embrace of the mountains, the revered master, known for his lifelong devotion and wisdom, lay quietly on his deathbed. Disciples gathered around him, some with trembling hands, others with tearful eyes, waiting to receive his final teachings. But what came stunned everyone. With a frail hand, he gestured to his young successor, his chosen heir, barely in his 30s, full of promise and purity. The master whispered his last words. Remember, never allow a cat into your life. Silence followed. Disbelief hung in the air. Was that it? No sacred mantra? No final truth about enlightenment? Just a warning about a cat? The young monk bowed deeply as the master's breath faded into stillness. The cremation took place the next day, with full rituals and the highest honors. But the young monk's heart was heavy, not with grief, but confusion. He couldn't understand those final words. Why a cat? Why such an odd warning at such a sacred moment? Days passed. The other monks returned to their practices, yet the successor remained unsettled. He walked in the gardens, eyes distant, replaying the master's words again and again. One morning, the oldest monk in the monastery, a man whose voice carried the weight of decades, though he himself had never been chosen as successor due to frailty, approached him. "You've been troubled," the elder said. "May I ask why?" The young monk looked up. "Before Master passed, he told me to never allow a cat into my life. I've meditated on it, but I cannot grasp the meaning." The elder smiled gently, like one who has seen a storm before it begins. "Ah, the cat. Then it is time you heard the full story. It is not a tale of animals. It is a tale of the mind." Years ago, when the master was young, he burned with the desire for truth. Leaving behind his name, his family, and his wealth, he renounced everything. He wandered alone, carrying nothing but a begging bowl and 2 robes, until he found a quiet forest near a small village. There he began his solitary life. He meditated for hours each day beneath trees, drank from the river, and accepted alms from kind villagers. The villagers revered him for his discipline. In admiration, they built him a humble bamboo hut. But soon, rats began invading his hut. They chewed his robes and scurried across the floors, disturbing his peace. One day, a kind villager said, "Master, these rats trouble you too much. Take this cat. It will protect your clothes, and your hut will be peaceful again." The monk hesitated, but it seemed logical. The cat arrived. The rats disappeared. Problem solved. But new problems began. The cat needed milk. The monk had to walk to the village twice a day just to beg for it. Time he once spent in meditation was now spent on chores. Villagers noticed this and again offered a solution. "Why not keep a cow? It will give milk for the cat, and for you too. You won't have to beg daily." The monk agreed, but the cow required care and grass, lots of grass. So he returned to the village again and again, this time not for alms, but for fodder. The villagers, seeing his burden, made a third suggestion. "There is a widow in our village. Her husband is gone. She is alone and would be honored to serve a monk like you. Let her help. She can take care of the cow, the cat, and even you." Once again, it sounded logical and compassionate. The woman came. She was gentle, respectful, and hardworking. She milked the cow, fed the cat, cooked meals, tended a vegetable patch, and kept the hut pristine. The monk was impressed. In time, he began helping her in the garden. He found himself smiling more, talking more. Days turned into weeks. They grew close, too close. Their bond deepened into intimacy. One quiet night, it happened. Months later, the woman was pregnant. And the monk, once a man who lived on silence and simplicity, was now working in the field, chopping wood, carrying water, and preparing for a family. One evening, as he sat beneath the stars holding his sleeping child, he looked out at the world he had once renounced, and he whispered to himself, "What happened to me?" He had not planned this. He had not wanted it. But step by step, moment by moment, he had drifted back into the very world he had sworn to leave. And all of it began with the cat. The old monk paused. The young successor sat still as stone, his mind swirling. The elder continued, his voice now calm but firm. "You see, my son, the master didn't warn you about a cat. He warned you about the mind. The cat was a symbol, an innocent indulgence, a tiny compromise, something that seemed harmless at first. But the mind is never satisfied. Give it one excuse and it will demand more. One yes becomes a habit. A habit becomes a need becomes your prison." How do people fall into addiction? Not through wickedness, through permission. Just once, they say, just a taste, and then the taste becomes a craving. This is how men lose their dreams, their peace, their truth. One compromise at a time. You must guard the gates of your mind like a fortress. If you allow a single crack, the flood will find it. And one day, you'll wake up and wonder how you lost everything. The master gave you a gift. He gave you his greatest regret, transformed into a single sentence. Never allow the cat. Never let the mind wander unchecked. Because in that tiny gap, the entire world can slip back in. So what will you choose? Will you silence the mind or feed it? Will you protect your path or allow a single cat to rewrite your destiny? If this story touched your soul, share it with someone who might be walking too close to their own cat. Subscribe to Golden Bell Dharma for more profound wisdom, timeless teachings, and spiritual stories that awaken the heart.